Rick, Manchester United 6. Manchester United 6.
6.
Leeds 2. In a game that, I mean, look, we anticipated a really difficult game today. And it kind of was in some ways, because it does tell the whole story, but it doesn't, if you get what I mean. What a performance. Some great goals today, some great bits of play. Dan James, brilliant.
Played well, yeah. Well pleased with him. Well pleased with him. I bet he's dead. I was chuffed that he scored because he was playing well enough anyway. There's no point banging on about team shit because Leeds could have had 6 themselves. In fact, funnily enough, before the game on a show I was on, there was a few lads saying to me that it's too defensive. It could have been 12 all. Do you know what I mean? It's too defensive. It's madness. And by the way, the only player ever to score twice in the first 3 minutes of a Premier League game is not Alan Shearer, it's not Ruud van Nistelrooy, it's not Thierry Henry or Dimitar Berbatov, it's not Andy Cole or Dwight York. Do you know what I mean? Or Paul Scholes.
I mean, today was just one of them really weird games that, you know what, you kind of don't even want to dissect it too much. You're just happy that actually, look, you know what's going on in the world right now, tier 4 this and, you know, all this new stuff with the coronavirus. But to just see goals galore, an entertaining game with your team on the right, with our team on the right end of it, it was just nice to see, wasn't it?
Yeah. You've got to give credit to Leeds, the way they stuck at it. And, you know, they were 2-0 down before you knew it. And then I think they had a couple of chances before we made it 3-0. A lot of teams would have threw the towel in at 3-0 or gone for damage limitation, if you like. But even after that, they must have created. I mean, think of some of the chances they missed. I mean, the one even near the end, while it was 6-2 at that stage, where that Jack Harrison shot wide, he should have buried it. You know what I mean? Another one from close in where De Gea saved it and it went loops up in the air and hit the post. They had chance after chance, really. You know what I mean? It was.
So did we, Rick. We should have scored about.
We should
have scored about 15 goals today.
Marshall should have scored twice, and I love him to death. And he's honestly, I don't care what anyone says. He's played brilliantly.
He has. He's had a great game today.
But it's just missing his chances at the minute, and it will come. But for whatever reason, he took just a touch too many on the first good chance that he had, and then the last chance that he had, he just didn't quite get it out of his feet enough, and it was a little bit under him when he shot and he hit the keeper's legs. And you know, on another day he'd have had 2 or 3 goals, Marshall. But you know, I think he's ended up with 2 assists. He's ended up with 2 assists, but his pass to Telles. It was just class at the end. He's got the ball just about 10 yards outside the box. He's facing their goal. He's one of them players, he can stand still with the ball and they don't want to go near him. You know, he's just stood there. Look, it's probably 2 seconds, but it seems like 10 when you watch it. He's just stood there looking round and he sees Telles behind him and he more or less, you know, gestures to him. Are you going or what? You know what I mean?
Hurry up.
Comes past him, he rolls him in and Telles could have scored, couldn't he? And it was it's a decent effort by Telles. You know, he hit it with plenty of weight, but the keeper saved it. So Marshall played great, but missed his chances. You know, they'll come, won't they?
It was one of them. I mean, Scott McTominay today, though, we just want to talk about him. I mean, at the beginning of the game, there was quite a few eyebrows raised with the inclusion of Dan James, and you know, especially more so for me, it was more so because Dan James hasn't been playing much. It was a big shout from Ollie to play him, and we'll talk about that in a sec. But McTominay in those first 2 minutes, I mean, Gary Neville said that he turned into Keano, Scholes and Carrick sort of in a space of 5 minutes, all in one. I mean, especially his second finish. I know you look at things in quite a detailed way. He sorts his feet out really well for that second
finish. I mean, into the finishes. They're both great.
Brilliant. And just in general, his timing of the passes today, his interceptions, his energy. And what I did like about his performance today, which maybe shows me a little bit more, is that he is a bit more of a box-to-box midfielder instead of just a hold. He's so athletic. He can bomb on and make those third-man runs.
Yeah, the pace and strength that he shows, and he showed it on one of Marshall's chances, and he waited to the right time to pass it. It was beautiful into Marshall's path. It's just absolutely class. There's no 2 ways about it. Do you know what I mean? And we've got a player on our hands there if he can keep going like that. And I think he's been playing well recently. And people, now that they've won 6-2 and he's scored 2 goals, people might open their eyes a little bit more. But, you know, he's been playing well without scoring any goals. And I've got to say this, by the way, I've numerous times on the show, I've said to Mark, he's got a bit of a goal threat about him. I've said it loads of times.
We talk about the goals he got last year. Yeah, he does.
It's a bonus having somebody in midfield who can get a few goals, who can do all the other things as well. You know what I mean? He can do all the other things. He's got everything in his locker. Look, he's going to give it away once or twice, but so does everybody. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah he's different class at the minute for us, McTominay.
He is. One stat I really liked today was the fact that when they put the kilometres up of what the two teams had ran, we were pretty much level. And one thing that I said going into this, and I know you shared the same view, was that you've got to match them for work rate. Once you match them for work rate, our quality of players should prevail. And you know what? Fair play to Ollie, because he put the runners in there. He put the players in there that he knew were going to absolutely put a shift in. And you know what? From minute 1, I mean, they kicked off and then they got to our box pretty quickly. And I remember thinking in the first 25 seconds, let's see how we go here. And then we nicked it off them really quick. I think it was Luke Shaw. And we just went. And then we was up there half really quickly, looking sharp. Went out for a throw-in, I think it was. Then it ends up at Bruno. Then we score really quickly. Then we go again. We were absolutely on them. Do you think that was a conscious thing from Ollie there and a good decision from Ollie to actually get the team bang on?
Yeah, to match them for work rate might well have been in his mind, because they're well known for that, aren't they? And we more or less, well, we did, didn't we? We matched them and
ran 90 kilometres a piece.
Yeah, it might have been one of the reasons. James was in the team. He knows he'll bomb. You know what I mean? And I think you've got a good point, mate. You might well have thought, I've got to match them for work rate, and that's why they're in. Rashford switched to the. He started on the left, didn't he?
Started on the left, yeah.
He started on the right, but he switched over once or twice during the game. I don't think Marcus had a great game, to be fair, but obviously he can cover the ground. So, yeah, you've got a good point. I think they probably did think, I've got to match him for work and effort, and they certainly did that right throughout. We've got one or two class players, haven't we? So,
yeah, I mean, it was a game. I mean, Pogba didn't even come off the bench today. Didn't have to use him, and I do think from the start, no matter how much we wanted Pogba to play, tactically, I think Solskjaer's looked at that and thought, I don't know if I trust Paul in this moment to run around with that intensity. Let me just see how we go. And then the game was won so early that I don't think he needed to risk it.
McTominay and Fred have been playing in a lot of games together, Flex. So even though that might have been in his mind, I wouldn't necessarily think that. I agree with you. He's probably thought, I've got to match him for work rate. We've got to run as far as they run in the game. And that might be one of the reasons that McTominay and Fred have played. But had we not been playing Leeds today, so you're saying it's because of Leeds. I don't know if we were playing Everton today or West Ham.
That's what I mean. I think probably
Fred would have played. I don't think they played because we were playing a team that works so hard. They do play a lot of the league games together, don't they, McTominay and Fred?
Yeah.
I think that was just a coincidence that it was their turn to come back in. McTominay limped off at the end, even though we didn't have a sub left, so that's not a good sign. So I think we might well see on Wednesday night Everton in it. I think
you rest him anyway. I would have rested him anyway after.
He's not going to be. I don't think he'd be fit. He looked like he was holding his groin. I think Pogba and Matic might start again like they did against Sheffield. Against
Everton, I wouldn't mind that, or Pogba and Fred. I don't mind that at all in that game. Dan James, though, Rick. Dan James. I was saying to Mark in the chat beforehand when the team news came out. And look, I said I was surprised to see him. More not because I was slagging Dan James off and saying, "Oh, how can Ollie do this? It's a disgrace. We're going to lose now." Nothing like that, because you know me better than that. It was more like it's a big call because he hasn't been playing and he's got to really play at an intense level. And I said, I think Dan James's attributes. If you look at it from Ollie's point of view, what are Dan James's best attributes? Running, and more running, and shape. And he gave us that today. He was a constant outlet, wasn't he? And he took his chance today.
Took his chance. He took his chance on the game overall. Worked his socks off. Got a goal. Got booked, by the way. That was a forearm smash. That was a forearm smash across the face.
Anthony Taylor. I don't expect anything else.
I think it was just outside the box, by the way. I think it was just outside the box. And I do not think he dived. When I say dived, I mean sometimes players say you get a knock, you go over. It's not really diving. I don't think he had any option but to collapse there. He got
out like that.
Yeah, he's only short. The other kid's a big fella, and he's put an arm right across his face. I think he knocked him over. You know what I mean?
Even if the ref didn't give the free kick because he thought it was a coming together or not quite a free, to actually book Dan James for simulation, is crazy.
I don't know if you can appeal them things, but it is ridiculous. You've only got to watch it once to see that it's definitely a foul. And if you ask yourself this question, I don't know if the referee has time to think like this when he's on the pitch, but that centre-back was obviously panicking like mad. Dan James is running like a hare, right? He actually puts his arm across him because he's the last man there, don't forget. Exactly. He thinks Dan James is going to score. That's what he thinks is going to happen. So he blocks him with his arm across his face. That is exactly what happened. There's no two ways about it, nothing else. He thought, he's going to run past me. I'm not going to catch him. He'll probably score. I better put my arm across him. Now, whether he puts his arm across him to deliberately hit him in the face, I'm not going to say that's deliberate, but he put his arm across him to stop him running past him. That's all that happened. You know, so you make your own mind up what's right and what's wrong about that.
Yeah, exactly. Look, if I'm looking at the Premier League table as we speak, Rick, and we sit in third with a game in hand, 5 points off the top of the league, off Liverpool, 1 point behind Leicester with a game in hand, who we play next in the Premier League.
Game is it? Yeah.
That's our next game away from home at Leicester, mate. The games are coming thick and fast and they're coming tough. How are you feeling? I mean, we're still in amongst it. We're coming into a difficult period where the games are coming so fast. But are you feeling this title challenge, Rick? Are you getting behind it? Are you in that?
I'm behind it. I'm not getting giddy, Flex. I just don't think the way we've been playing that these results are going to be sustainable. 3-2 against Sheffield United, 6-2 today. The games seem to be too open. I know Leeds are playing like that. It's just that game.
Look at Leicester today, though. Leicester went and beat Tottenham, comprehensively today. That's 2 losses on the bounce for Tottenham, and they were flying. And Harry Kane and Son were amazing, and now they've just quickly lost 2 on the bounce. Everton started like a house on fire. Yeah. Then they went on an awful run for about 5-6 games. Then they won the last couple, and now they're back in it and second, around third, just below us. It's a weird one.
It is a weird one. I think when you talk about a title challenge, though, you've only really got to look at Liverpool. Look, I think we are now 5 points behind Liverpool.
5 points then with a game in hand.
I just sense that they're just really getting it. Obviously, with that yesterday, I just sense that they're getting it together. They beat Spurs, it was a late goal. Then they've put 7 past Palace. I think they're just getting it together, Liverpool now, and I think it's going to be, if we drop points next week, and don't even bother looking who Liverpool are playing, they'll probably win. We've got to win. Once you end up 7 or 8,
they've got West Brom. So when we got Leicester, they've got West Brom.
We've got to win. I'll be amazed if they don't beat West Brom. And if we don't win, we then end up, like, let's say we even draw, we're then 7 points behind them with a game in hand, and it'll just grow. I can just see it. I mean, look, I hate being negative, Flex. I'd love us to keep doing it, but the way our games are, they're just too open, I think. I mean, even against Spurs, I know they only won 2-1, but it's a more like we're beating Sheffield United 3-2. There's too many goals in the games. Like I said when we played PSG and Leipzig, I know that's the Champions League, but we were too open. We wanted them games to be tight to try and get a point. We're not playing in it hardly any. We're not playing in any tight games, and we need to tighten up at the back so that if we score once in a game or twice, that we'll get the points, because we're not going to keep getting the points.
Yeah.
Like I've just mentioned the Champions League, I know, but we let 3 in. Was it 3 against Leipzig and 3 against PSG, 2 against Sheffield United, 2 today?
We're not keeping enough clean sheets, yeah.
We're not keeping clean sheets, and I can't see us. I mean, obviously in the Champions League we didn't get the goals we needed, but in the league we're letting the same amount of goals in virtually, but scoring enough. We're not going to keep scoring enough, surely. It can't work like that, I don't think.
Yeah, and you're right, though, in terms of if we are going to talk about a title challenge, you kind of look at the other teams and think it's in and amongst them. Okay, that's great, but really, you're right. You need to look at Liverpool. And when we play Leicester, like you said, they play West Brom, so you're thinking we got to win. And then we got Wolves at home the next game, and then they got Newcastle. So the next couple of games, if we don't win them both,
you would expect them to get 6 points out of them 2 games, wouldn't
there you go. So if it is going to be a title challenge, we've got to be
really, we've got to get 6, but absolute worst ways, we've got to get 4. 4 points from Leicester and Wolves is a tough ask. But I think we can do it. But we do need to tighten up defensively. And I think the best way for us to tighten up defensively is to get 2 wide players in who track back. And a couple of games. Dan James in their 2 games. That's what I do.
I bet you would. Rick, to finish off, who's your man of the match and why today?
I think it's got to be Scott McTominay, the only player in Premier League history to score twice in the first 3 minutes of a game.
McSauce returns, mate. McSauce returns. Rick, we go again. I was going to say have a lovely Christmas and I'll see you on Boxing Day, but we go again midweek. We go again at Everton, Carabao Cup.
Yeah. I think he's going to want to do well in that. Their manager, I think he'll field a strong team. And we spoke about this the other night. Ollie was banging on about how pleased he was that we reached 3 semis last year. So I don't think he can suddenly turn around and just pick a dead weak team in this.
Exactly. But now it is Christmas though, and the games are that quick, and Leicester's a big one. I don't mind him. I'm not gonna.
He'll shuffle the pack, but I don't think it'll be like we used to see years and years ago when there was youth team players coming.
No, it won't be that.
He'll shuffle the pack, but I think it'll be a strong team.
I think your Tellez will start. I think Pogba will start. Cavani will start. Bruno probably start. Matic. I wouldn't mind giving a start to Mata as well. I'd start him. I'd probably start Dan James again, actually. Because at the end of the day, I know people want to win it, but that Leicester game is crucial, and the games are so condensed in this little period of time now.
I want to give a big shout out to the lad who's missing his chances at the minute, but our chances of doing well are greatly improved if Marshall's playing. So there's 2 ways of looking at this. If Marshall doesn't play at Goodison, it's going to be a much, much tougher game for us. But will he think Ollie's going to? I think he's going to think like that. So what does he do? Does he play Marshall, or does he just risk it and keep him fit make sure he's fit for the Leicester game? Because if Marshall was injured, honestly, we would collapse. I know I hear people say it about Bruno. It's more important that Marshall plays. We've got other players that can play in midfield. We haven't got another player like Anthony Marshall.
Bruno again at it today as well with amazing stats, great goal and assist as well. Rick, we go again. See you midweek, mate.
See you midweek.